All right. All right, bring me in. Bring it down slow. This is where it all begins. Hey, everybody. It's been very, very hot recently. Very hot. I remind you of all the weather tragedies that can happen, be it earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, whatever. The weather that kills human beings the most is heat.
Yeah, but the Mac is back.
Yeah, we're
The
gonna get
Mac
to
is
that.
back.
That's right.
I've
He's a
been
little
away for a
excited,
while. I'm back.
and he had a drink this morning. Hot weather kills something like 600 people a year in America alone every year. So keep cool out there. Records have been broken all over the world recently due to heat waves from America to Greece to Italy to Africa. And do you know why we are so hot right now? We are hot right now because Republicans told us that climate change is a hoax. They told us that for years. I know you remember that, Mac. You've been around. Yeah. Just like Republicans told us that the seatbelt laws infringed on people's rights in the 70s. Remember that? And just like they told us that cigarettes were not addictive in the 80s. Those Republicans are always on top of the latest science, aren't they? Does anybody seriously believe that climate change is not a serious issue now? Anyway, I digress. Greetings to you, everyone. Thank you all for the wonderful opportunity to speak my soul into the domain of the publicly owned airwaves. Don't you like that sentence?
Yeah.
Congratulations to you all for remaining here in the land of the living with me, if just for one more day.
Did Chad GBT write that for you?
No, I haven't used them yet because it lies so much.
All right.
How lucky we all are to possess this gift called life. I say we are lucky because roughly 2 million people in America die each year. Just over 5,000 of those people went to sleep last night just like you did. And those 5,000 people thought that they would wake up this morning just like you did.
But I'm up.
Except that they did not. And you're a cancer survivor too, so that says a lot about you. So here we are together again after having won life's most important lottery. And the question becomes, what will we do with this extra day that we have? Because we can't be arrogant enough to believe that our days will go on forever. So as for me, on this day, I will seek to add balance to my life. Now, what do I mean by that? What is a balanced life? Quite frankly, I wish I knew this subject matter better because the fact is you don't see many balanced individuals in our society these days to use as a model. After all, we are America, the home of the mass shootings. In America, we seem to take pride in the manufacturing of very imbalanced individuals. Here in America, we don't really express a happy life by seeking balance. We express a happy life by seeking excess. We want to be rich. Riches replace character in this country. In fact, who's the most successful person in the room? In this room would be Dr. Mack, because he's always the one who makes the most money, of course.
Yeah, right.
It's not the person who treats their wife and kids the best who gets tagged as successful. Maybe it should be, but nobody asks about how you treat your wife and kids at Forbes magazine. They just ask how big your bonus was. If you make a lot of money, then everybody will call you a success, regardless of how much of a real asshole you may be to other human beings, or even your own family. Ask Elon Musk about that. Now, should money be a real measure of a successful person? Well, if it is, then I would suggest that how you spend your money reveals much more about your character than how you make your money.
Wait a minute. Money might not be in first place, but it damn sure beats what's in second. Okay?
What's in second?
Oh,
well. That was a stupid question. In this day of the internet, even an imbecile can get 2 dimes to rub together sometimes. Look at the My Pillow guy, for example.
Yeah.
He was a crackhead when he started his company. Now he just acts like a crackhead without the use of crack by following Donald Trump around. Some would call the My Pillow guy successful because he's made money, but I wouldn't go that far because he isn't a well-balanced individual. He may make money, but he's not a good citizen. I call him a bad citizen because he tells his fellow citizens conspiracy theories and lies in order to support yet another bad citizen, and that would be stand-up comedian Donald Trump. Now, Trump calls himself a billionaire in order to spread the idea that he's successful because nowhere else in his life can he point to success. He's simply not a well-balanced man. If not psychopathic, then borderline psychopathic. He points to money because that's all he's got. That's all he's got that even looks anything like success. But even that money wasn't self-made. So what has he really got to show his success? What can he point to? His rape allegations? His collection of indictments? And by the way, I got to say at this point, as a criminal defense attorney, Dr. Mack, I don't know how this man avoids jail.
Well, because, like it or not, and we've talked about this before,
We're about to talk about it now.
Is the past president of the United States, and you don't muck with him willy-nilly. Go ahead.
How many indictments does this famous stand-up comedian have to have at this point? 37, 40, 60? And how many different jurisdictions is Trump being indicted in? 2, 4, 6, 8? Who do we appreciate? A man named Jack Smith, the independent counsel appointed by Merrick Garland. You've heard his name before.
No prisoners.
That's right. He's a pretty strong guy. And here's another question. How many people have gone to jail simply for listening to what Donald Trump told them to do?
You know, that's an interesting question, Jamal, because when you look at it, I mean, they're handing out serious time.
20 years.
Oath keepers and all. I mean, they're passing it out like.
And they just showed up. Now you have Trump recording himself while breaking the law, showing classified documents to his low-level staffers at the country club. And it's pretty clear to me, Mac, that this man's going to get his ass convicted. And you know what? It looks like Donald Trump may end up in the big house.
No.
All right, we're going to get into that. These are
No.
crimes that will put Trump in the big house if he is convicted, and he will be convicted because everyone knows he's guilty.
Or not.
Everyone knows he's guilty. I mean, I'll ask the bishop. You think Donald Trump is innocent? Just shake your head. You think he's innocent? You think he's innocent?
Yes.
Oh, you think he did? He caught himself for a minute. There you go. I changed it up.
I can't help you, bro.
Even his closest friends know Trump is going up north. I don't want to embarrass you, Matt. I don't want to make you seem unbalanced because we aren't in a bar right now. So you have a little balance to you.
Right.
But do you remember a conversation we had recently where you recently said something outrageous to me? You said that Donald Trump should be pardoned by Joe Biden. I thought that statement was ridiculous. I still do.
It's going to happen.
I was somewhat loud in the cafeteria that day because I couldn't believe you would say such a thing. I told you on that day that I would ask you on the air to stand by that statement. I told you I would question you about this on the air. Well, Mac, that day has come.
Right.
Now, you said wrongly, in my opinion, that Trump should be pardoned by Joe Biden on all the federal charges, such that Trump couldn't be threatened with real jail time.
I said that he will be pardoned because he is a past president of the United States. Go ahead.
Why does that mean he should be pardoned? Past president means he's not a citizen. He is now a citizen, which means that citizens can be convicted. He did the crime. You know he did it.
First off, personally, I am a firm believer in a strong presidency. Okay. All right. And so therefore, the presidency right now is being weakened. This branch of government is being hurt considerably, I agree, by Donald Trump. But I believe in a strong presidency,
So you're trying to protect future presidents.
I'm trying to protect the office of the president. And wait a minute, I'll make one more statement. I would have liked to have seen, and I would like for it to be established that for all future presidents, if they have a problem being persecuted for something that they did while in office, that the bill be picked up by the government in some manner, shape, or form. Because not everyone who runs for president has the financial wherewithal as Donald Trump.
The only problem is that your solution ignores the fact that he's actually guilty. So what you're saying is
whoa, my brother. I thought he was innocent.
Okay, so you know he's guilty.
No. I am a constitutionalist, and right now he's innocent.
Oh, right now he's innocent because he hasn't been convicted yet.
So don't say he's guilty. Now, I'm not here to defend him, but right now he's innocent.
All right, well, when you have yourself on tape committing crimes,
right,
and I mean, let's just say there's overwhelming evidence to his guilt. And, I don't know if you know about federal courts, but nobody beats 37 indictments. Nobody beats 37 of them in one indictment. So we're talking about 3 indictments altogether. We're talking about something like 60, 70 charges from Georgia, the two coming from Jack Smith, then he's got the one in New York. No one beats all this stuff.
You asked me why he is not in jail? Because right now he's innocent.
Okay. Well, he is innocent right now, as I am, until the cops found about last night.
You didn't pick up that tab?
Nah. So how it goes is this. I don't want to get into that. How it goes is this. The problem with your solution, my friend, is that Donald Trump will commit these same crimes again. And so your solution is probably that he doesn't run. They make a deal where he doesn't run and he doesn't go to jail because he's not running.
No, I listen, let me get this straight too. I believe that if by chance he becomes elected into the office of the president again, I think that he will not commit these again. I think he will commit something even worse.
Right, of course. I mean, but the only leverage they have over him is the only leverage he has if he tells them, "Hey, I won't run again. Let me out of jail, or let me go to Mar-a-Lago," and say he's gonna get convicted, dude. I mean, he has himself on tape telling people stuff that's illegal, showing people documents. I mean, they have the people he showed it to. They have the documents that he showed.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
obstruction of justice can bring 20 years.
Let's say
Donald Trump's going to the big house.
With
and
all this, he's convicted and he runs.
You still think Biden
and he gets into the office of the presidency. What we
He's
should
not
be
gonna get-
hold on. What we should be looking at right now is who he selects for vice president, because that's going to be the future president. Because what happens is that instantly
they're saying it's going to be Ron DeSantis. That's going to be interesting, huh?
Yeah, well,
we have some things to
because
talk
what's
about.
going to happen is that instantly they're going to impeach and remove him.
Well, and
the vice president will pull in.
And not Republicans in the House. In your defense, there's been a lot of writing about pardoning Donald Trump. That it should be done, and to be totally honest with you, it might destroy his legacy as far as Biden is concerned if he did that. But Biden would consider it, knowing who he is. He would actually consider it, I think, but he wouldn't do it because his own party would shoot him. Probably
the presidential club is a small club, and if there's one thing the president at the time has to do is to protect that club. He will pardon.
Yeah, and if that happens, you're not worried about Trump just doing the same thing over again? I mean, he would. Don't tell me
I told you he's not going to do the same thing over again. He's going to do something worse.
Right. And then they'll have to put him in jail.
Then they're going to have to impeach him and remove him.
Well, he's not going to be president. But I'm saying he'll do something worse as an ex-president. Again, he'll just do the same thing over again.
Do something worse.
And then they'll have to put him in jail. Right?
As president, and if he acts within his presidential powers, then you can't touch him. But I'm saying that just the fact that he will have been convicted prior to him becoming president, all right, will give reason enough for them to impeach and remove him.
Why are you so convinced he's going to be president? You going to vote for him or something? You got a secret Trump vote? Moving on. Welcome to Saturday, my friends, the very next day of your life. This is the Jamal Show, the place to get intelligent, live and on your favorite podcast network. My name is Jamal, of course. I'm an attorney, an information junkie, and some say an entrepreneur, some say, from Harlem. And I'm passing the fruits of my illness on to you. The result will be that you'll become sick with knowledge. And all vaccines will be rendered ineffective, just like the other ones that I took, by the way. As for me, I'm your listener guide, mostly along for the ride, coming through the Hartford studios of WKND, and I'm doing that live, not for just a season, but for a reason. Got to say hello to the Archbishop from Mac Urban Talk Radio. Make sure you look for Mac Urban Talk Radio on the internet where it lives. Oh, you know what? I think that you deserve some applause, man. All right. And now I'm gonna stop that. This is way too long. Thank you. That takes some editing sometimes. Now, for those who say one can't be senile and on the radio at the same time, I present to you Dr. Alfonso Mack.
Hey.
How are you? You do not get applause. Heard you went to New York City to see Hamilton recently.
Yeah. Finally, 7 years.
This is the first time seeing it live, right?
Yeah.
But I know you watch it every Thursday night at your house.
Yeah, right.
Moving on, it's been like a month since we last broadcast. The last time we talked was like 3 weeks ago. The theme was bitterness. That was a topic my son gave me when he called me bitter. And I think it was one of our very first best broadcasts. People told me so definitely check that out. That podcast is up. It was good. You should listen to it. Today, I'm talking about balance, and I must say I have more expertise with bitterness. But onward we go, and how will I accomplish this? Well, just like I always do it, by scheming and planning on how to get you all more intelligent. And it isn't easy with Republicans blocking much-needed student loan relief for millions of Black people around the country and blocking affirmative action vis-a-vis the Supreme Court, as they did recently. The fact is that if you are Black, Republicans seek to make your life more difficult and fill it with less opportunity. And yes, my friends, that is political talk. Make sure you vote when the time comes. Now is a good time to remind you that this broadcast will soon be up on every podcast network that ever existed. Of course, that makes me a very handsome liar, but it's a lie that we can all make true with your help. So please share the gift of the Jamal Show with a loved one, and I promise you more intelligence instead of more labor on this upcoming Labor Day. Lastly, please know that my views do not represent the views of the station. If they did, the station would be run logically, but in my opinion, it is not, and I'll leave it that right there before I get kicked off. Now, remember, my friends, you can call and join this verbal protest at any time.
Yeah, what's that number?
For your information, the station number is 860-218-2173, 860-218-2173.
Yep.
People who have called here have become stars. I've taken them to Hollywood.
Right.
They've got polo ponies now.
860.
Many people have called. At least some of them have survived, so don't worry too much. By the way, you can also call that number if you need an attorney that doesn't suck. That would be me. The email address to the show is jamalshowradio@gmail.com. Write that down. I know you want a break, and I will impose one upon you right now with some great independent music from Caesar Labor. The tune is called The Music Lesson. When we come back, I will allow the other guests in the room to speak if they so please. And what we will speak about, we'll speak about things like how great it is to have slavery on your resume.
Hey.
I didn't know that I can get a job quicker by putting slavery on my resume in Florida. So we're going to talk about that and why cops like to sick dogs on black people who are compliant in Ohio. Again, this is Caesar Labor with The Music Lesson. Meet me on the other side of God. That went well. Bathroom time. We're going to run into DeSantis with teaching how slavery is great. Music coming in?
Yeah, slow poking. I got it.
But while the Negroes role in constitutions in American history, the Negroes' role in the history of America, a good question. Perhaps we can briefly try to answer.
I can talk.
Let us
Okay.
turn back
So it's a new board, huh?
and so
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. To here. Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay. We good.
So when you told me about the Spanish music, I didn't realize that you were going to change it back on weekends. So I was really concerned about that. So that's a weight off my shoulders because I was going to call the station about that. Brilliant.
You should.
Yeah. Because
I don't care if they want to make money during the week. If they keep the weekends talk, that's fine with me. Whatever.
Yeah.
They're just doing it to make money because somebody offered them money to play it, and it'll probably be over in 6 months or so.
Yeah, I believe it will.
As long as people before my show comes on, it's not playing Spanish music. If it's playing what? If it's going back to regular stuff during the weekends,
That's my goal is it'll be R&B an hour before the show. And then
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. I can deal with that. I can deal with that.
And I try to do an hour of gospel before my church programs come on Sunday. Then they want me to switch it back.
You know what? Since my guy in Florida is not recording this, we're just about to be quiet because everything we say is going to be in the podcast. So I'll erase this past part that we just talked about. I got to keep that in mind. Sometimes people are out on some of this. But it's going pretty smooth. We're at what? 24 minutes. You turn a little bit up. I forgot people are listening to that. People are watching. And after this is the request for support, right?
Yeah.
I finally got it right.
Hey, we're gonna talk to Jimmy.
Third segment. He's excited. Also, I want you to say some things about Ronnie.
Who?
Ronnie, about what he knows right here. No, up here on the bridge. Bridge, right here. Yeah, it came up. Ronnie James collapsing. I have people convinced that you're a doctor, so just keep the role playing going.
Yeah. It's a vicious rumor, right?
Yeah. So what you think about Mitch McConnell having a stroke on camera?
A mini stroke.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they want to talk about Joe Biden all the time. Joe Biden can still do push-ups, dude.
I'm hungry.
I'll be getting there sooner or later. I didn't have my banana this morning.
You know, you really have to believe in what you're doing in life in order to better get through it.
Who's
That's
this
really the
clown?
message of this show. That's what this show
I need to
is about.
replace this with
Been to a place to be.
with an advertisement for my firm. And I'm gonna do that.
Opportunity to support us
We're going after this.
through coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/the Jamal Show. Please join us there. Consider buying us a coffee.
Hello
We need
again,
the
my friends.
caffeine
I saw this called the
to
Music
keep
Lesson.
this show running. And
Okay, I got a
keep
good
telling
clip
us
for this
what
next
you like.
segment.
Which one?
So why don't
By my
you
house.
join us? And
Oh.
we'll give you a nice shout out on the next broadcast.
Yeah,
Join
the
us
one
at coffee.com. That's
Close to Weathersfield, I don't like.
ko-fi.com.
The one in West Hartford is
/the
overpriced.
Jamal Show.
Here we go.
All right.
We'd really appreciate any support you can give us. Thank you very much.
Hello again, my friends. Back in Black. That song is called "The Music Lesson" by Caesar Labor. Check them out, and I remember you heard them first on the Jamal Show. The place to get intelligent. Again, if you want to call in, the number is 860-218-2173. Moving on, it is most definitely a pleasure to have you back with us on the Jamal Show on WKND and on podcast. Now, Dr. Mack, you've been around a little bit. I don't think you've been around since slavery, so to speak,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong. But you may know something about this. Apparently, slavery was a good resume builder in Florida. At least that's what Florida schools are teaching. You may not know about this, so why don't you listen in for a quick second? Which one is this? This is this one.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the state's Board of Education is facing backlash over its new standards for teaching Black history in high school. The criticism focuses on something called benchmark clarifications, the requirement to teach middle schoolers, quote, how slaves developed skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. Vice President Kamala Harris visited the state last week and called the new standards, quote, absolutely ridiculous and totally outrageous. Governor DeSantis defended the new rules, but said he had nothing to do with them.
These are the most robust standards in African-American history, probably anywhere in the country. Anyone who reads that will see that it's very thorough, very
Robust.
factual. I wasn't involved in it, but I mean, these were scholars who put that together. It was not anything that was done politically.
So apparently a bunch of scholars got together, real
Yeah.
smart people,
Yeah.
and they
well,
were like, see, everyone wants to focus on the lack of freedom when it comes to slavery. The abuse, the rape, the torture, all this minor stuff on the side. What they were really doing was getting skills
yeah.
for future success
right,
in their
right.
future industries.
Right. Well,
And all these movies, all you see is the ship and the chains and all the unimportant stuff
well,
that people want to pay attention to, all the pain and torture and the killing. And, I don't understand.
well,
We've always said that one of the greatest skills you could have had on your resume was being a slave, because everyone knows you're willing to work for free. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that?
work for free?
So this is in line with all the Florida culture war stuff that Governor Ron DeSantis has been doing. There's been a full-blown war on Black history in Florida. First, it started with books in schools. Well, actually, I guess some people would say that the Florida racism thing actually began in 2012. Remember what happened that year? That was the year that Trayvon Martin was murdered. That trial was a fiasco where the jury concluded that it was absolutely fine for a grown man to approach and murder an unarmed teenager that Zimmerman later claimed he was afraid of. See, you got to be in the jury's shoes sometimes. To the jury, it's fine to approach a young Black teenager, ask him what the hell he's doing in your neighborhood, and then shoot him because you're scared of him beating you to death, which is what Zimmerman actually said. Many people would say that's when Florida went off the rails. That was like, 9 years ago? 10, 11 years ago. Then when COVID came and shut schools down in 2019, parents started paying a little more attention to what their children were learning in schools because everyone was locked down for a while, right? Subjects covering sexuality and race in America became hot after being cold for decades. Books about Harriet Tubman, were a good friend of yours back in your childhood, were removed from libraries. New laws were being passed in Florida to protect the feelings of white children. See, the fear was that white children would start to hate themselves as oppressors if subjected to history books that all of us older people have already been subjected to, of course. So instead of enlightening children about the truth of American history like teachers used to do, the decision was made to get rid of the history books because they made people feel bad. The same thing happened to the LGBTQ community. Republicans alleged that gay and trans people were coming after your children to indoctrinate them into gay lifestyles. All of a sudden, the sex ed classes that you and I, older people, enjoyed as teenagers, became labeled as perverted. Then Black Lives Matter protests were made barely legal in Florida just a few years ago. See, now they can arrest you for protesting if they don't like your message. And that law was written just to harass BLM. But wait, there's more. A lot of people missed the whole fiasco with felons voting in Florida. Remember that? The vote?
Yeah.
In 2018, Florida voters restored the right to vote to felons who have paid their debt to society. But
paid their debt monetarily.
Oh, wait,
that's the key.
That Ron DeSantis.
That was the key.
Well, the key was for them to finish their probation first.
Right.
But then Governor Ron DeSantis got it, and he's like, wait, we can't have all these felons voting. I mean,
right.
You know, even though the Constitution says it's an inalienable right.
It was damn near close to $500,000.
It was 64% they voted.
Yeah.
The major majority of the Florida population voted so that felons could someday have their right. But Governor Ron DeSantis modified that law with rules and regulations such that many felons would never get the chance to vote again in Florida, even though it was the intent of Florida voters to allow felons to vote eventually. And it just so happens that a good deal of those felons who have already paid their debt to society, who would have been able to vote, are Black people. Some of those Black people who are felons filled out paperwork to vote and voted on election day. You know what happened? Ron DeSantis arrested them, even though they were told by the registrar for elections that they could vote. You can actually see Black voters being arrested in Florida on YouTube after being told they can vote and then voting. Even the cops arresting them don't understand why there were any warrants issued. You can hear the cops saying, we don't know why there's a warrant for this, but we're arresting you because the governor said we had to. But wait, there's more. Earlier this year, Florida pursued redistricting, gerrymandering to you, to specifically dilute the Black vote in Florida and minimize Black representation in state House and Senate seats. And now this. Ron DeSantis and much of the Republican Party are attempting to ride their way to the top of the Republican primary on the backs of Black people. That's my statement for today.
Okay.
Write it down. Ron DeSantis and his Florida team seek to disrespect Black people by telling them that slavery was beneficial to them. They know that makes the Republican base excited when Black people are disrespected. It makes you wonder how a Black Republican may feel about this kind of statement on slavery for your resume. Enter Republican Tim Scott. You know who he is, man?
Yeah, Tim is there.
Also running for president. By the way, I hated on Tim Scott last year for saying that America is not a racist country, but he's running for president now. So I let my old beef go. It seems like he's making a real run for it now. Here's Tim Scott on slavery for your resume.
Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott criticized his opponent, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, for his state's public school curriculum on Black history, which teaches that enslaved people in America benefited from slavery because they learned critical skills. South Carolina senator, who is the only Black Republican in the Senate, spoke about it on the campaign trail yesterday in Iowa.
You know, it's interesting, as a country founded upon freedom, the greatest deprivation of freedom was slavery. There's no silver lining in freedom, in slavery. The truth is that anything you can learn, that any benefits that people suggest you had during slavery, you would have had as a free person. What slavery was really about separating families, about mutilating humans, and even raping their wives. It was just devastating. So I would hope that every person in our country, and certainly running for president, would appreciate that. And listen, people have bad days. Sometimes they regret what they do.
So this is the only Black Republican in the whole race. Black Republican in the whole Senate. And according to him, slavery was bad. I mean, what else could he say, right?
Yeah, but you have a Black legislative Floridian official supporting this too, which I'm ashamed to speak.
Well, there's always one. I mean, you know, there were Black people that supported the Klan, embarrassingly.
Yes.
You know, there's Black people
that had slaves.
And then we have those that kill other Black people relentlessly.
Right. And
like as if they're an exterminator and Black people are roaches.
Black people who fought in the Confederate
Right.
Army.
So there's bad everywhere. Yeah. And every now, my friends, I thought that was a pretty good statement, though, from Tim Scott, mainly because it's true. There is no silver lining to slavery. There is no silver lining to slavery. There is no silver lining to slavery. And if any Republican candidate wants to get a few points from the few Black Republicans that exist in America, those candidates should put that statement on their website. There is no silver lining to slavery, at least not to those of us who descended from slaves. And please let's consider how truly disrespectful it is to say that slavery was beneficial to the slave, and to say it to those who are descendants of those slaves. Hey, do you remember that coach Sandusky, Matt? Remember Sandusky? There was a coach who used to take showers in the high school with his football players.
Yeah.
Right? Sandusky, he's saving like 80 years now, and he was like 80 years old when he went into jail. So go figure that out. Do the math on that. He took showers with his high school football players and abused them. He abused them. He molested them. A lot of them. It was a big story a few years ago. Do you remember that? You watch sports. Saying that slavery was beneficial to slaves is like saying, well, at least those Sandusky kids learned good football while they were being abused. But nobody would say that, would they? Because they have respect for the victims in that case. But if you don't respect Black people, then you are prone to say things like Black people benefited from slavery. Moving on and sticking with the subject of disrespect, did you hear the joke about the Black truck driver who put his hands up for cops and still got mauled by the police dog? If you didn't hear that joke, I got one for you right here. Check it out.
An Ohio police officer filmed unleashing a police dog on an unarmed Black truck driver during a July 4th traffic stop has been fired. The Circleville Police Department said actions taken by Officer Ryan Speakman, quote, did not meet the standards and expectations we hold for our police officers, unquote. Video of the incident shows 23-year-old truck driver Jadarius Rose had his hands in the air when Officer Speakman directed the dog to maul him. Speakman released the dog, even though state police officers repeatedly warned him not to.
Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not. Get the dog off of it. Get the dog off of it.
After being attacked by the dog, Jadarius Rose was hospitalized with significant bleeding on his arms, then booked on felony charges of failure.
Remember the last time you had to say that to me, get the dog off him?
Get the dog
you had to tell me, get the dog off him. And I was like, oh, wow, what did I do? So this cop messed up. When fellow cops are protecting Black people on the streets, then one cop is definitely wrong here. Yeah. They told him, do not release that dog. And this video.
Look, there's this phenomenon that when it's white cop on Black, we always seem to get the fuzzy and the lollipop. I mean, look at the guys, look at the two state policemen in New Hampshire who are trying to arrest this individual, and the other individual is operating a payloader, and the guy took the payloader and tried to hit the state policeman with it. They drew the firearm, just drew it. If he had been Black, he'd have been dead.
Yeah. So a man stops his truck on the highway to surrender the cops who were chasing him in Ohio. He puts his hands up and the police surround him. One of the cops, this is on the Jamal Show Facebook page if you want to see it, one of the cops starts running up with a police dog, and the other cops tell the dog handler, hey, don't release that dog on this guy. Something you never hear cops saying. You know what I'm saying? Hey, don't release the dog on this Black guy in the street. I mean, we can go a whole lifetime and never hear cops say those words. Don't release the dog on that Black guy on the street. He's compliant.
Right.
I've been compliant, never heard that. They repeat, don't release the dog. This guy's compliant. Mac, you can hear it on the damn body cameras. The video for this incident is posted on my Facebook page. And then one crooked cop sets the dog loose on this poor man, who then begins to get mauled on the ground. And he suffered heavy damages to his arm and torso. Mac, it appears as if some police officers are unbalanced. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They're going to protest me. Some of them are unbalanced. They probably go around with their chest pointed out because they're cops, but some of them are unbalanced. And this isn't new, Dr. Mac. A cursory glance at some of the reports put out by the Justice Department in recent years tells us that this is more normal than not. Black people are often the only targets of police dogs in many cities. The only targets. Police dogs are only used on Black people in many cities. Years ago, the DOJ targeted Ferguson, Missouri, for criticism after discovering that rampant discrimination from cops, just regular walking beat cops around the town, is just nothing but discrimination. Tickets on Black properties. Most recently, Attorney General Garland was on TV talking about the city of Minneapolis, where Prince is from, right? And its police force abusing Black people for years. My point is that this is not new. And although this is changing, we need more change. Mac, you got anything on this? Were you surprised that a police dog was released on a Black man who was compliant?
No, I'm not. But what I am thankful for, because I got to get up in the morning, is that we as Black people have the power to now make that officer pay for his poor decision, pay for these bad decisions, and so whereas in the past, in the 50s, 40s, all the rest of that time, we just have to say, well, we just have to go home and deal with it.
Yeah, as many people know, I have an uncle that was killed by cops, and he was a cop, and the NYPD
But
just
now
celebrated. Yeah,
they can't get away with it.
well, there was a time when they didn't even investigate. When
Yeah.
a cop he shot a Black person in the back of the head, said he was running from the police station. He was running away from me. I had to stop him.
Right.
He came back and told the captain that at the police station. The captain was like, okay, we'll write a report about it. Get back to work.
Right.
Go back to the streets.
Oh, see, that doesn't go down now. So if you want to, I would like to call that progress. Okay. It's not where we want it to be, but it's better than where we were.
Well, it all started with, we got to give Rodney King some credit, even though he wasn't the most.
Why can't we get along?
Yeah, 92. This was 92 before my son was born.
Yeah.
We watched cops surround a Black dude on camera.
Yeah.
And beat the Black dude on camera. And then we watched the white jury say, hey, nothing happened there.
Yeah.
What did you see? We didn't see anything, actually.
Right.
We saw a Black man acting very aggressively. And so Rodney King took the hits, and George Floyd lost his life in order for cops to actually be investigated when Black people end up dead in their custody. And on that note, it's time to take another commercial break. But don't worry, Jamal Show commercial breaks rarely include a commercial. What we do instead is play you some refreshing indie music. This time it's going to be a song called Zanzibar by Mex Cortez, Joe Legendary, and Zenji Boy. This record comes straight out of Africa, and it's my first time playing it. After the break, we're going to give a shout out to Bronny James and the whole James family. And then we're going to do our best to get Jimmy to actually call in, if he's awake, to talk about a book with us. So get back with us after the dope music. You'll like it. We're on a good time. All right, we're on a good time. We have 17 minutes. Let's see if Jimmy will call in. He told me what.
It's good content. This slow.
Yeah, I get better as time
This
goes
is
on.
good. You did it.
Yeah, you had that medication this morning?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Don't make me jump on you on the on air now.
I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar. It's an oasis on a daily basis. Surrounded by so many smiling faces. I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar. It's an oasis on a daily basis. Surrounded by so many smiling faces.
You just touched down right through Stone Town. You paid in the block, seven girls saying, ow. I see gents side eye. What a time to be alive. He feels cool and the beats be real. What you might do, ain't no telling. A whole week in the East, so big boy, only hit me up with a plan to party.
You never told me what happened. You never told me what happened with Johnny. That's like a open wound. Did everything work out? Yeah.
I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar.
Is rehabbing cool as a heart attack?
Surrounded by so many smiling faces. I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar. It's an oasis on a daily basis. Surrounded by so many smiling faces.
All right, no, I just want to put closure on it, that's all. All right, another 15 minutes and we're done here. Oh, it goes pretty good. I mean,
Jimmy doesn't call it 2 minutes. We'll have to skip
it
it.
goes pretty good. All right, I'll talk to you.
But you gotta be ready.
He's supposed to call it 10:45, which is right now.
Pulling up in some Ray-Bans. You're gonna have a great time, don't worry about it. Just vibe on the beach, it's gonna be lit. I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar. It's an oasis on a daily basis. Surrounded by so many smiling faces. I like to go to Zanzibar. It's a 20-minute flight from Dar. It's an oasis on a daily basis. Surrounded by so many smiling faces.
All right, so we might go right into Vienna after I finish. Let's talk about Bronny.
Well, it's cute up too.
All right. It's queued up?
Mhm.
Play it now. Okay, do it. Yeah, give us more time.
Never in a million years did I ever expect my healthy daughter, Vienna, to fall asleep watching TV and tragically never wake up. She was only 2 years old, and this happened at our home in Holmdel, New Jersey in 2017. Her death was categorized as SUDC, sudden unexplained death in childhood. Essentially, this is SIDS, but in kids 1 to 18 years old. Never heard of SUDC? Well, neither did my husband and I, and we are both physicians. Please visit www.vienna.team to learn more about our sweet daughter Vienna's story, our family's
They were probably gonna end
501c3
early. He must have got sick or
nonprofit,
something.
Team Vienna for SUDC awareness, and how you can get involved to help uncover these
Mac, we're ended off.
tragedies with us. As a team, I know we
what?
can get this done. Thank
Who's
you
coming?
so much for your support.
He's right there.
I'm
Oh,
Vienna's
he's calling
mom,
now?
Dr. Denise Wunderler, founder of Team Vienna and co-founder of the
Jimmy called her.
SUDC Coalition. Thank you so much.
Hello again, my friends. Life is for the living here at the Jamal Show, the place where we brand intelligence and then we put it out into the world. That song was Zanzibar by Joe Legendary, Mex Cortez, and Zenji Boy. I want to thank my friends in Africa for sending that over. We play African hits a lot. Check out all that on your streaming platforms. You won't be sorry. Now, really quickly, I want to send out to the LeBron James family.
Yes.
LeBron has been a stand-up guy.
We pray for you.
He's been a stand-up guy, a leader on and off the court. I'm not even a big basketball fan, but I give all kudos to LeBron James, who's proven himself time and time again as a real man who takes care of his family and takes care of other people's families as well. With his school, he's just a fantastic human being, a great role model, and I support any endeavor that he takes part in. We know that his son collapsed.
Right.
Right. I sometimes tell people you're a doctor. You want to speak on that really quickly?
Well, he had several things going for him, and three primary things. One was his age. Second was the fact that it occurred in an event where you had emergency personnel immediately available. And the third was that he got electrical shock immediately. Those three things are what allowed him to be here today. Because you need to know that just because CPR is done on somebody does not mean that they're going to survive.
Wow.
Majority of the time, CPR, the person still dies. Okay?
Right.
All right.
I mean, it does help that he probably has, I'm just guessing, he probably has pretty good health care. I'm just gonna guess.
No, that's you laugh. I mean,
yeah. Healthcare is a privilege in this country. It's not a right yet. It should be a right, but it's a privilege, and I would say that he might be privileged.
As a doctor, if a person fell out and I did CPR on him and brought him back and stuff, I can't bill their health insurance.
Really? Wow, because it's saving a life. You're expected to, right?
Right.
You're expected to save a life, and that's not on the clock.
I'm the guy that can't run away.
You get paid if it's in a hospital, but not if it's in the street, right? Is that what it is?
If I have privileges in the hospital.
Oh, really?
If I don't have privilege in the hospital, no. On the street, I will not get paid.
Wow, that's something, but you still do it. Oh, actually, we were coming to the station one morning, and you had to get off. Didn't we see an accident on the highway?
Yeah,
I actually have pictures of that, and you actually had me pull over. That was really nice of you.
I'm the guy that can't run away.
Yeah, rest in peace to that guy. Ronnie is lucky that he had great health care on the site. Just like that other football player that passed out like last year or something. Yeah. I forgot his name. I'm not a football watcher. Here's my question to you. If he was your son, would you let him play again?
Yes.
I wouldn't, because I'm already rich if I'm LeBron. I'm like, dude, you don't have to play. You don't even have to work. Hey, how about you sit in this couch until I die? That way I don't have to watch you die before me. You know what I'm saying? Because if he falls again, and he dies this time, who's he gonna blame? You know what I'm saying? You don't need the money, dude. Your name is Bronny James. Who are you named after? Yeah. I wouldn't let my son play again. It's not up to him, right? He's a man. He's a man.
Well, okay.
He's a man. He does what he wants.
The alternative is for him to manage his father's businesses, okay? But right now, he's measured as the one that LeBron wants to play basketball with, even though it's the younger one, which is more like his father than the older one.
Okay, moving on. Many of you know that I've got a friend named Jimmy. I'll just say this. If it was my son, If it was my son, he wouldn't play again.
Okay.
If I was a near billionaire basketball player and my son
Come
dropped
on, I
dead
want to get
playing
to
basketball-
Jimmy. I want to get to Jimmy.
Moving on, many of you know I've got a friend named Jimmy. I've known Jimmy for about 30 years. We have always been close. We have always been close enough for me to tell you that Jimmy is a special kind of guy. The kind of guy who is down to earth, rustic, and wise. He does everything he wants to do. He's been around a bit, and he's the type of guy who grows on you because he is easygoing and unique. Sit around Jimmy for a while, and he will tell you all of his theories about the universe for hours, and that's just him getting started. Jimmy is that wise man who never left the top of a mountain once he got there, and you kind of wonder how he got there in the first place. The most interesting thing about Jimmy is that he has this relationship with books. Jimmy loves books. He loves football too, but I digress. And if you want to hear something special, you'll listen to Jimmy talk about a book or an essay or a newspaper article, because he's sure to go into a tangent that will be interesting as hell, not that hell is interesting. It's just a figure of speech, so get over it. So I thought I'd just do us all a favor and add a new segment called Jimmy with Books, and here goes his music too.
That's right.
I heard that Jimmy was on the phone, so let's see if we can bring him in. Jimmy, thanks for waking up this morning. How are you feeling?
Jimmy!
Do we have board problems? Is he
Jimmy.
Jim? We don't hear him.
Nope.
Could you check him on the phone?
Keep talking, Jimmy. Keep talking. We'll get you. We'll find you.
There we go. Wait. I think we had him.
Keep talking, Jimmy.
There you go.
Today's book is a little bit of a lighthearted summer read. It's called The Soul of Baseball. And it's about Buck O'Neil, who was a Negro League player all the way from the very beginning. And basically, he's the guy who's most responsible for you knowing about the Negro Leagues, for you knowing about guys like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson.
Buck O'Neil?
And Double Duty Radcliffe and guys like this. And so basically, this is the writer Joe Posnanski spent like a summer with Buck O'Neil, who's an old black man. And they talked about baseball and all these different things that Buck was the reason why we know. And towards the end of the summer, he was supposed to be voted into the Hall of Fame because he's a national treasure and he brings the history of the Negro Leagues alive. But the white baseball writers, the predominantly white baseball writers, felt like he didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't have a Hall of Fame career as a player. And so they didn't vote him in. He died a few years later, and then posthumously, he was voted into the Hall of Fame. But really, it's just a good read about the Negro Leagues, about the history of the way the Negro Leagues folded when integration happened, when Jackie Robinson happened. People don't know, but there was a player that was better than Jackie Robinson.
Oh, most definitely.
But they didn't bring him up. That was Josh Gibson. They didn't bring Josh Gibson up because he wasn't the guy who was going to be able to turn the other cheek the way Jackie Robinson did. So Jackie Robinson was one of like 3 or 4 Negro League players that was being considered to be brought up to integrate the major leagues for the first time and so forth. And so, yeah, it's just a nice summer book. It's, like I said, the author is a guy named Joe Posnanski, and the book is called The Soul of Baseball.
Let me ask you, Jimmy, did you get anything personal out of this? It seems like you might have gotten something personal out of it that motivated you.
Yeah, the concept of just being an old guy and continuing, you know what I mean? Never giving up. Like, he didn't give in to the fact that he had been a Negro League player. He hadn't gotten a chance to play in the majors and all this, but he was happier. He was happier. Like, he played with the Kansas City Monarchs. He played with all these great players of all time. Here's one personal thing I got, because I love baseball, as you know. He said there's only 3 men who made the crack of the bat. Like, he knew who was at bat without even looking at them. Babe Ruth, Bo Jackson, and Josh Gibson. You know what I'm saying? And people, it's kind of coming out slowly over time that Babe Ruth was at least part black.
That's right.
He was?
They used to call him nigger nose back in the days. So, yeah, Babe Ruth was at least part black. And, of course, Bo Jackson and Josh Gibson were black men as well. So, yeah, I just got the perseverance out of it. Like, who cares what your station is in life? Who cares what they say you're supposed to be? Just be happy with what you are anyway, and you win.
Wow, that's a good theme for this show. Jimmy, you know, you're a really smart guy. Why don't you give people some contact information and tell them what you do right quick before we let you go and let you think about the next show?
Mwangi.fitness is where you can get me. That's James, MUWONGE.fitness. I'm a fitness trainer. I work on Zoom, remote as well as live. If you're in the DC area, give me a holler and we'll get together live. If you're somewhere else, talk to me and we can do something remotely. Physical fitness is my thing, and positive attitude is also my deal.
Hey, Jamal, real quick. Jimmy, can you hear me? Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you. Go ahead.
Jim, just to let you know, the city of Newark just reconditioned their Negro League baseball diamond, one of the few remaining left in the country.
You heard that, Jim? Did he get off?
Did you hear that, Jim?
They would play, and the Negro League World Series would be in Yankee Stadium, in the old Yankee Stadium. And the Newark Eagles Josh Gibson played on that team. But yeah, that was one of the major places because New York is the capital of baseball. It was back then and it still is now. So yeah, that's awesome. They redid the Newark Eagles Stadium.
Yep.
All right. Well, we are running out of time. Jimmy, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Let me give a shout out to my people. Let me give a shout out to Ebony Skies, part of my personal support system. Denise Wunderler, my son, the Smackographer. You can call him Smack. My main man, Joe Duncan. The Archbishop, Dr. Alfonso Mack. My dad, Dr. Carson Wright. My favorite.
No, I'm not the bishop.
Well, I just included you in the list.
Oh, okay.
I take back my thank you to Dr. Alfonso Mack. My favorite client, Michael Ray of Cool in the Gang, and also everybody else. You're all good people. In fact, call me if you need an alibi or better yet, a defense attorney. But most of all, I love our listeners, all 10 of them, perhaps 11 now. My friends, without the listener, we wouldn't have anybody to talk to, and that would be sad indeed. So please take care of yourself and try to take care of someone else too. See you in 2 weeks, guys. Hit me. We already played the commercial, so you can just go over the music if you can. All right.